Hello, everyone. Yes, you are welcome to this live session. I just want to quickly share this video with you guys, and I want to say that if you are a patriotic Nigerian, you must be a bit concerned with what is happening in the country currently. I mean, there is a state capture going on with the kind of judgment coming out from our courts these days. Many Nigerians are concerned. I mean, Nigerians are worried under the leadership of this current president. I tell you, the judiciary is just giving out their judgment, anyhow they just want it. And people are like saying that, can we really survive this kind of government that we have today? So I'm going to allow you listen to what Mr. Falana got to say. He had an interview session on Channels Television, and he revealed a lot. He revealed a lot as regards to the judgment coming out from our judiciary. Don't forget that after the ruling on the presidential election petition that was filed by Peter Obi and Atiku, the recent judgments that have been coming out from our courts these days call for concern. I mean, Nigerians, you should be worried. You should be worried because it appears they just want Nigeria now to become a one-party state. And that is just what we are experiencing today. Mr. Falana has opened up on why some of these things are happening. And it will interest me if you just take your time and relax and listen to what he's got to say. They said, grab it, snatch it, run with it. Power is not served a la carte. And you are seeing it playing out in our country today. Nobody is being prosecuted. Nobody is even being cautioned. Inec is not being rebuked at any time. In case you don't know, the governor of Kano State has been removed. They've asked that of the APC to replace him. Do you know their reason? They said some of the ballot sheets were not stamped by INEC officials. Tell me how the governor is to blame for INEC's mistake. Anyway, Mr. Falana captured these when he was talking and other issues that every patriotic Nigerian has to know about. So let me allow you just watch this video for yourself and you will get to know that there is really fire on the mountain. Take a look at this.
A lot of rot and the whole place is smelling. And the urgent stable, Mr. Falana, I hope we will be able as a people to come together to rid our country from all of this mess. Nigeria is the only country in the world today where results of elections are determined by judges. It shouldn't be so. We have just witnessed in Liberia a country that Nigeria assisted to restore political stability. We just witnessed an election there. Recently, we witnessed an election. A successful election in Sierra Leone, again another country assisted by Nigeria to have law and order restored.
Political power is not going to be served in a restaurant. It knows have a la carte. It's what we are doing. It's being determined to do it at all costs. Fight for it. Grab it. Snatch it.
Yes, sir.
I'm wrong with you.
Yes, sir. Jagaban. Jagaban.
countries can organize elections, why are we asking judges to determine the result of our elections with respect to the decisions of the Court of Appeal? That is not the end of the road. All those who are dissatisfied will have to go to the Supreme Court. But if you look at what happened in Lagos, why is different from Plateau, is that you are being told in the case of Plateau, there was a judgment of the High Court to the effect that primaries have to be conducted. The judgment, as usual, was dishonored, disregarded, disobeyed, and elections went on. I think the last time I can recall that the Supreme Court berated the Nigerian political class to learn to comply with the doctrine of least spending was the case of Mr. Peter Obi and Inec, when in 2007, in spite of the case of Mr. Peter Obi that was pending in the High Court, INEC went and proceeded to hold the election. The Supreme Court made the point that it was a risk on the part of INEC to engage in a wasteful exercise by conducting that election while the case of Mr. Peter Obi was pending. Now, if we are being told here that the court ordered their primaries be held, and the primaries were not held, and the election took place on the basis of the primaries that were not held, there are problems. I do hope that the Supreme Court will make a definitive pronouncement on this. Again, it's different from Kano, where you are being told now that voters can be punished. It's a very dangerous judicial policy to punish sanctioned voters for the mistake of electoral officer. We're being told here that 165,000 votes are wasted. They are invalid because some electoral officers refused or committed an error by not stamping them. How does that affect the validity of the election? If you recall again the case of Yaradua, Buhari and Yaradua, even the election material, the ballot papers were not serialized, they were not marked. But the Supreme Court came to the conclusion that the petitioner, General Buhari, on that occasion, did not impeach the integrity of the election. So I do hope that this time around the Supreme Court will again resolve this needless controversy surrounding the stamping of ballot paper by INEC officials who have not been recommended for any discipline or any sanction. So this is why these judgments will have to be reviewed.
I'd like to ask, I mean, the Electoral Law 2022 was amended in respect of pre-election matters and how much of effect it can have on the outcome of an election.
Well, again, there is some inconsistency here as to whether pre-election cases should be carried over and determined after the conduct of election. I have always criticized that. And my position is that all pre-election matters be concluded before election, general election, and all, all election petitions challenging the conduct of elections be concluded before the inauguration of incoming government. But we have an incongruous situation whereby pre-election matters are carried over and taken after the election. It amounts to a waste if the elections are set aside on the basis of pre-election matter. And it shouldn't be so. And this is the kind of problems we are trying to encounter now. Again, as I said, the ball is now in the court of the Supreme Court.
Now, interestingly, I will come to that deliberation, which Plaque, as an organization, Clement Wanko and his friends have put together to ensure that there is a review of the electoral law in respect of some of the shenanigans that happen within the political parties going into an election that makes a mockery of our election and some of the discrepancy and some of the unbelievable behaviors of the politicians in our election in broad daylight, and how they subvert the rule of law in our elections. And I'd like you to touch on those things that you discussed at that meeting on Friday and Saturday, and how we can jumpstart the process of fixing the electoral law. But it just looks to me, Mr. Falana, that politicians are already looking at the vacuum and at the vulnerability of our electoral law to subvert our election. Don't you think?
No, the election, the laws are there. But we have a political culture that allows members of the ruling class, and it's not limited to election. We have a culture, a political culture, that allows members of the ruling class, the bourgeoisie, to ignore our laws, to ignore court orders, and they are the system. And that is why you're having these problems. The law is very clear on internal democracy, but you have people who call themselves chieftains of political parties who make a mockery of internal democracy in the party, whereas you are supposed to have consensus candidates. They impose candidates and they call them consensus candidates. They subvert the electoral process by talking of indirect primaries, instead of allowing members of the political party to participate in direct primary. These are some of the issues we discussed on Friday, Saturday. And we can't go on like this. Now, once you have dealt with the question of the political culture, whereby all violators of the law, no matter how highly placed, will be brought to book. And that is what is going on in America now. President Trump, in all his majesty, in all his powers, is being arraigned, is facing 4 cases for criminal cases. One of them or 2 of them have to do with electoral fraud and insurrection. But here, you just had an insurrection in Rivers State. Nobody is talking of those who conveyed the House of Assembly in the night, those who set fire on the House of Assembly. Nobody is talking about that. But in the US, President Trump is standing trial for the insurrection, the attack on Capitol on 6th of January 2021. But in the case of Nigeria, it's business as usual. And that is why we are insisting that we must now set up the Electoral Offences Commission, Electoral Offences Tribunal, to try all those who violate the provisions of the Electoral Act before and during the election, and even after the election, by manipulating election results. But once you don't do this, you witness, as we just witnessed 2 weeks ago, the shameful election that took place in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo, whereby in 3 states, 92,000 police personnel, 22,500 civil defense personnel, FRSC, SSS, EFCC, and the rest of them. Altogether numbering about 140,000 security personnel to manage election, to man election in 3 states. At the end of the day, somebody was thrown to the river in Bayelsa. 4 people were killed in Kogi State. There was snatching of ballot boxes. Money was, the EFCC confiscated about 11 million naira. But at the end of the day, are we sure that these criminal elements are going to be tried? So again, we agreed on that.
Political power is not going to be served in a restaurant. It's not served in a la carte. This is what we are doing. It's being determined to do it at all costs. Fight for it. Grab it. Snatch it.
Yes, sir.
I'm wrong with you.
Yes, sir. Jagaban. Jagaban. Yes.
we agree that the movement of judges, particularly sitting judges, should be completely eliminated. We are suggesting that retired judges will have a pool of retired judges who should constitute election petition tribunals and appellate chambers, so that we can allow the regular courts to continue to handle cases of other citizens who have nothing to do with politics. Now, once you can do that, now we are not going to have this problem of congestion of cases in the regular court. Again, we are suggesting that Inec, the owner should be on Inec to prove that credible elections are being conducted. The owner should not be on petitioner who have no the petitioners who have no access to election material. Again, we suggested once an election is concluded, in no less than 7 days, all the election materials must be uploaded and, transmitted to the website of INEC, so that whoever wants to file an election petition can do so without going through the current, problems. The other point is that
Political power is not going to be served in a restaurant. Not serve in a la carte. It's what